Moderator, you spoke this morning about your uncle in your devotions, and this afternoon I would like to begin by telling you about the matriarch of my family when I was growing up. The glue that very much held my family together was my great-grandmother, born in Anderson in Glasgow, but living much of her life in Postle Park. Nana Gibb was 5 foot tall with her hands in the air, but she knew how to keep you in line. First, you would get a look, and that was a powerful, pervasive look. And she knew it because her second line of attack was to push her glasses firmly up her nose, as if this was going to magnify that first look. And if you spoke back or you tried to protest that you didn't do it, she would raise her finger and utter one word: ah. That two-letter onomatopoeic expulsion of air that translated into so many things like, don't even try it, don't push me, don't think about crossing that line. And if you were foolish enough to push it, and we all were, she would stand up and she would tower over you, or at least when you were 6 years old, she would. And at that point, when she towered over you, she would say, "Hod your wish, son, hod your wish." In fact, she spent most of her life alternating between just two sayings: "Hod your wish," or "just go tell them, just you tell them." My great-grandfather, who was simply known as the Old Man, he ruled with a reign of terror and hurt. And over the years, he beat her black and blue, and he turned on any one of his children or grandchildren if they so much as tried to help her. The silence of abuse and coercion in the house was simply deafening. She was a woman who, as you've heard, said very little, but she endured much. And she taught us all about unconditional love, strength and hope for the future. And just as she would alternate between the words "hod your wish" and "just tell them," so will I. Let me be abundantly clear. In a world where people in positions of trust have maliciously and sinfully and criminally abused and sexually assaulted young children, vulnerable adults, women, men, we cannot hod our wish. And in a society where trusted leaders and, at times too, trusted religious leaders have violated every norm, expectation and ounce of integrity when they have preyed on women and girls, using the pastoral tool for misconduct and abuse, assault and infidelity, whilst destroying lives and congregations, we cannot hod our wish. We must humbly say that this kirk, imperfect as it is, must do everything it can to robustly safeguard its people, its volunteers and those it reaches out to in Christ's name from the fear of abuse, assault or harm of any kind. We simply cannot hod our wish. So let me tell you about some of the things that are important to us in safeguarding this year. In response to the 2021 deliverance to scope out a mandatory training programme for ministers, we're able now to introduce the Safeguarding Learning Pathway. This was in response to a recognition that there was very much a gap in training for ministers, with the emphasis having been placed on training volunteers. The pathway is set out in Appendix 1 of the report, and this tiered approach to learning is for everyone who has some responsibility for vulnerable groups within the church. It has particular expectations of ministers too. The introductory and advanced courses are already available, and the leadership course is still being updated. As soon as that is live, we will inform presbytery contacts and clerks. And we would appeal to the Assembly to take heed of our deliverance, framing this as an instruction in Deliverance 4, to make sure that all of our ministers are appropriately trained. And I fully appreciate that this might be an unwanted burden in all that we need to do at this time. But why would we not want to avail ourselves as ministers of the highest level of training to protect the weakest of our folk. To ensure that all ministers, all active ministers, are brought up to date in terms of safeguarding training, we would ask you to do a wee bit of work yourself. Look back to the last safeguarding training you attended. If this training was more than 3 years ago, it most likely was. The learning pathway should be started from the beginning, with introductory safeguarding training being attended as soon as practicable. And in that gear change between hodding our wheesht and just telling them, the Safeguarding Service also recognises the need for whistleblowing as an essential part of safeguarding children and adults at risk of harm. Whistleblowing, as you'll know, is when someone raises a concern about wrongdoing involving a dangerous or illegal activity or any wrongdoing in the organisation. It's a very important process for identifying risks to people, and individuals are allowed by law to make a protected disclosure. It provides protection against victimisation or dismissal for workers. And currently the law does not apply to charities, to volunteers, but it is good practice for charities to recognise that volunteers face many of the same challenges as paid staff when seeking to raise concerns. We simply cannot hod our wheesht on this matter. So we need to make sure that we provide a safe and clear platform on which to do this, recognising that it is very often a small circle within which we work, where we know one another, and where we might find it more tempting to hesitate, and in so doing, hod our wheesht. But the bedrock of safeguarding is in recognising and reporting, telling of our concerns in an appropriate manner, so that our kirk is a safe place for all. The Church takes seriously any forms of abuse, poor practice and fraud that might take place in the workplace. And it places importance on maintaining high standards of honesty, openness, integrity and accountability within our communities. So we will support all workers and volunteers, including temporary staff, agency staff, contractors and students on placement who make disclosures, i.e. blow the whistle, where the disclosure is a genuine concern made in good faith. We believe that making a whistleblowing procedure available to congregations and presbyteries will help support people to come forward when they have a genuine concern about wrongdoing in the church. And that suitable procedure is available for download on the Law Department pages of the resources section of the church website. We hope that this will enable people to feel supported and safeguarded as they raise concerns about poor practice, abuse or fraud. In addition, we also hope to bring you an updated single handbook. We talked last year about how we had so many different handbooks. That was raised by some of our commissioners. We're going to bring one handbook by the final quarter of this year. In the same period, we will also be planning for a more effective exchange of SG7 and SG11 forms, circulating a new Presbytery Register form to clerks after the General Assembly. And as an interim measure to launching our new safeguarding software solution, which we've had promised for so many years, which is now happening, we will set up a SharePoint site to receive those presbytery registers and hopefully make things a lot easier for presbyteries and for our volunteers. Finally, the Safeguarding Service is committed to ensuring a safe church for all. We all have a part to play ensuring that this is the case. I would like to thank each and every one of you for your contribution in making sure that our service remains a robust safeguard against harm. Thank you. Moderator, I present the report of the Safeguarding Committee, and since I am not a commissioner, I ask the Principal Clerk to move the deliverances.
I so move, Moderator.
Seconded.
Thank you. At this moment in time, I have no questions or comments lodged. Therefore, I'm going to move to the deliverance and ask, number one, do we receive the report? Number two, number three, number four, number five, number six, number seven, now number 8, we have somebody wishing to speak, Roderick Graham, number 389.
Roderick Graham, 389. It's just a quick question to the convener. I'm now at the stage in my ministry where I'm looking for inspiration, having been round the circuit several times. And I just wondered, I think it's a great idea to have a Safeguarding Sunday, but I just wondered if there are resources available, and if not, will the safeguarding team make resources available for us? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. The weekly worship pages on the 19th of June, when Safeguarding Sunday comes up, will provide all the resources you'll need for providing that Safeguarding Sunday service. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 8. Number 9.
The machine's not working, so. John Pickles, 103.
Is this number 8 or number 9?
This is number 9.
Number 9, okay.
It's just to ask a question of the convener regarding the whistleblowing policy, which I very much appreciate. I think it's an important thing. However, it has come to my attention over the years in ministry that sometimes such things and general legal practices within Scotland are used maliciously and not out of a sense of safeguarding. And I appreciated how it was worded, that where there's genuine concern, but I wondered whether the Safeguarding Committee had given any consideration to what should happen, or how do we proceed with situations when false allegations are made against ministers, commissioners, others within the church, volunteers, and whether this is within its remit to take forward and to consider.
I'd be happy to be corrected on this, but I think that for the Safeguarding Service, it wouldn't be up to the Safeguarding Service to be investigating these particular matters. All we're doing is bringing the vehicle in which the whistleblowing policy is available. So perhaps, I don't know if this is a question that can be answered today.
Sorry, I've given no notice of it, and I appreciate that.
I think that this is an issue which would be tested in the course of the investigation that would be carried out if within a congregation at congregational level. So it wouldn't be for the Safeguarding Service or for the recipient of the allegation to assess instantly, but it would have to be assessed and tested in the course of the investigation that would happen.
I have Mike first and then yourself, if that's okay. Mike?
Thank you, Moderator. Mike Goss, 405. I welcome this section of the deliverance. I think it's vital to have a proper and clear pathway for whistleblowing within our congregations and presbyteries. I have been made aware of situations of long-term abuse in major international organisations, in denominations in the USA and in England. I suspect many here might be aware of some of these events that have happened where whistleblowers have not been listened to, and abuse has therefore continued year after year, and the pain and the sheer evil this causes on the gospel and in the name of our church, and worse, in the name of our Saviour, is appalling. Whistleblowing has to be done well, sensitively, openly, and clearly, and I welcome this. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you, Mike. Angus?
Angus Matheson, 16. Currently Faith Action Staff Rep on the Safeguarding Committee, and just wanting to engage with what John Pickles was saying about the question of malicious allegations. It is for investigatory processes to follow their due course, but the best defence against malicious allegations is to follow the best practice as is outlined within the Safeguarding Manual. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Angus. Okay, we move on then. Can we vote on 9? Ten. 11. 12. 13. And the deliverance as a whole. Convener, I wonder if I might say something to you. Adam, I think it's fair to say that when safeguarding first began, it was seen as a burdensome extra layer of bureaucracy by some. But it's proved over the years to be yet another aspect of the care of the church and the compassion of the church for its people, in particular its young and its most vulnerable. It's an arduous task, and the General Assembly would like to express its thanks to the committee and to the hundreds of volunteers across the church who give their time and thoughtfulness and support to this form of ministry. So our thanks from the General Assembly to you, to the committee, and to all who support this. Thank you.